and welcome to Be Your Unapologetic Self podcast. I am your host, Sharayu, a marketer and creator by profession, having a passion for personal self-development, spirituality, and everything that enables us to live life of authenticity by being our unapologetic self. On this podcast, we completely and unapologetically own our story, shine in our light, not wait for any outside situation or anyone's permission to start living a life that we truly are passionate about and which is aligned with our higher self. Join me here as I share inspiring stories, learnings, conversation to start living our life as our unapologetic self. Hello friends, welcome again to yet another unapologetic episode on Be Your Unapologetic Self podcast. Today I'm going to speak about one of the major hindrances that stops us from being our unapologetic self. That is fear. Yes, we all have experienced fear in our lives of various magnitudes. Now there is a whole range of fear spectrum, if you will agree, because we experience so much kind of a fear on our day-to-day life, like thinking about worst possible outcomes or things going absolutely wrong. We also fear a lot of other things apart from such very dramatic kind of a conditions or situations, like fear of change, fear of unknown, fear of what others will think or say about us, fear of failure, fear of not knowing enough, fear of not being enough, etc., etc., etc. And the list is endless. Fear can become one of the major impediments to start truly living life of our authenticity and unapologetic self. Fear is not just perceived in some kind of a dangerous situations, but it can also show up in our lives in so many ways, like in a manner in which we make our decisions, we follow our habits. If everything in life is governed by fear on a larger extent or larger magnitudes, then we really cannot be our unapologetic self. Fear is deep rooted in our system. It is said that in our human evolution, fear played a very important role for our survival. As for our ancestors, fear kept them protected from the dangerous predators or any danger for their life as such. Thus, some amount of fear is essential to keep us safe. Just like the salt in our food. You can just correlate it with the salt in our food, right? Because we do need salt in our food to make it palatable. But if this fear becomes incessant, disproportionately high, then it can cause stress, unwanted outcomes, and it can potentially ruin our life. Just like excessive amount of salt can make our food unpalatable. Now, fear can be deep-rooted, which we knowingly or unknowingly would be carrying with us in our daily life. Now, what kind of fear, you may ask? Well, this fear could be ingrained or passed down to us consciously or subconsciously since our childhood. Fear like not being enough, fear of striving continuously to ensure that we survive and we are in a competitive mode to prove ourselves better than the others, or just to say that the way to live life is struggle, hustle, and never-ending hustle just to survive. This is nothing but fear. These are all fear-based limited stories. Fear is also something that which tells us that it is foolish to dream big or that it is not possible for everyone to have everything which they desire in their life. Or worse, to tell us that only selected lucky few can have everything that they want in their life. So these are all fear-based stories that we consciously, unconsciously pick up or we imbibe in ourselves through our life experiences right from our childhood. There has been a very interesting study which has been done in psychology which has revealed that most of our behaviors and patterns which we follow in our life, in our adulthood, are actually molded at a very young, tender age of as small as 4 to 7 years. Now you can imagine that at such a young, tender age of 4 to 7, we would have picked up so many fear-based or lack-based stories based on our situations or conditions during those time. And those kind of stories are actually governing or impacting our lives currently also. So it would not be of a surprise for anyone who is still living in any kind of a fear-based lack mentality or scarcity mindset they can correlate these all mental construct to their early life experiences. And such kind of a fear might not even have any specific name or an identity. It would be present in a life in just regular behavior pattern, in the decisions, in the kind of experiences that we are living. Yes. Now, for all of those law of attraction pursuer and believers, it is very important to note that deep-rooted subconscious beliefs and thoughts actually determine how easily we can attract what we want in life. I do believe in such laws, and more of it I'll discuss in the further episodes. So, if you are someone like me who has gone through life living in this kind of a fear, scarcity mindset, and desperately wanting to change things, then my friends, the first and foremost thing which you need to do is to have an awareness. Now, I don't just say have a mere awareness. For us to know what kind of a fear-based stories are governing in our life, we need to deep dive in our life. What I mean here is that if we have to identify these fear-based stories, we have to understand our thought patterns. Because these fear-based stories might be very clear and loud, or they might be very subtle in our life. And the only way to know about them is to have a very good awareness, to deep dive into our life with respect to our current habits, our decisions that we have made, the results which we are getting in our life, things which are working out, things which are not working out. If we start to be consciously aware of all these things, we can easily spot and identify the fear-based stories. And that is a step number one. Because once you've identified these fear-based stories, then the good news here is that these fear-based stories can be rewired, and we can then change them in a way so that we live in a less of a fear state and move on to become our authentic, unapologetic self. In today's episode, I just wanted to talk about all these underlying lies that we have been sold to, which are nothing but these fear stories, which might be a deep-rooted cause for us not living our authentic, unapologetic self. We will discuss more about identifying these fear-based stories, thought patterns, and ways to deal with them, eliminate them from our belief systems in a maximum way possible in the coming episodes. If you're liking the content so far, please do share your reviews, and please do not forget to subscribe to my show, Be Your Unapologetic Self podcast. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so grateful that you have taken time out to listen to the podcast episode. Please do share your reviews and feedback, which will allow me to create in better ways. Please like, share, and subscribe to my podcast show, Be Your Unapologetic Self. So see you again with yet another unapologetic episode. Bye.